Hello dear students, as you all know, we are doing chapter number 14. We have done three part of this chapter. Today we are going to do the fourth part. Till now we have studied PN junction diode, PN junction characteristic curve of PN junction diode, forward bias characteristic also, reverse bias characteristic also. And if you have watched my previous lecture, then you must be knowing that in this video lecture we are going to do a very important topic, and that topic is rectifier. So let us start doing rectifier. What is a rectifier? What is a rectifier? A rectifier is a device which converts alternating current into direct current. Okay, it is a device which converts alternating current into direct current. What is an alternating current? Alternating current is in the form of this one, which alternates its direction. After every half cycle, it alternates its direction. Whereas the direct current is unidirectional. For a fixed direct current is something like this. Okay, the alternate current, suppose on this axis it is current, on this axis it is time, on this axis it is current, on this axis it is time. So in alternating current, this is the positive half cycle and this is a negative half cycle. In this, the direction of current is just opposite to the previous one. Here, the direction of current remains constant. This is a constant direct current, and if a fluctuating direct current is there, so this is also a direct current, but this direct current is fluctuating one. Its value is keep on changing. Its value keep on changing. Here, the value is constant. This is the graph of alternating current. So basically, rectifier is a device which converts alternating current into direct current, and this process of converting is called rectification. Process of converting is called rectification. Now, how this PN junction diode acts as a rectifier? How this PN junction diode acts as a rectifier? Let us see. PN junction diode. In the last video lecture, we have studied that if it is connected in forward bias, this positive is connected to P, negative is connected to N, it is forward bias. Then it behaves something like this. Okay, the voltage VI characteristic was like this. But when it is connected in reverse bias, PN junction, reverse bias, now just if you can see, voltage is just opposite. P is connected to negative, N is connected to positive. In this case, the VI characteristic was something like this. Okay. So this particular voltage at which the current increases to infinity is called breakdown voltage, VZ. Okay, general voltage or breakdown voltage. From here till here, the current is very small. It is order of microampere. So I have told you that in case of reverse bias, the current was very small, and this current is so small that we can neglect it also. So what we say in the reverse bias, diode offers infinite resistance to the circuit. So when we feed this alternating current to it, for one cycle when it is connected in forward bias, it conducts, but for the another half cycle it is connected in reverse bias. Alternating current goes in the circuit like, suppose this is your resistance, there is a PN junction and then an alternating source. So for positive half cycle, the direction of current is, the positive half cycle, the direction of current is this way. Okay, and for negative half cycle, the direction of current is just opposite. For the negative half cycle, direction of current is in this way. So for a positive half cycle, this P is connected to positive, N is connected to negative. So positive half cycle, it behaves as a forward biased PN junction. But for negative half cycle, the current enters from this direction, so it behaves as it offers infinite resistance to the current. So for a negative half cycle, it blocks the current, whereas for the positive half cycle, it allows the current to flow through it. Okay, so basically what happens when we feed this alternating current, only this cycle, only half cycle is allowed to flow. another half cycle is blocked because PN junction is in reverse bias for this cycle and PN junction is in forward bias for this cycle. So basically this is the way, and if we feed this entire current, so every time this current allows and this current blocks, so what is the output we are going to have? The output we are going to have like this. Okay, so here the direction of current is only in one direction, this current, and then we get so much. Okay, so this is the principle. When you're asked to write the principle, what will you write? You'll write that when an AC signal is fed to the PN junction diode acts in forward bias for one half cycle and acts in reverse bias for another half cycle. So for one cycle it conducts, in another cycle it blocks, and that's why only one direction of current is allowed to flow, other direction is blocked, and in this way it converts alternating current into direct current. So this is about rectifier. Now let us try to understand two rectifiers are there. One is half wave rectifier, another is full wave rectifier. Let us try to understand their working. So let us try to understand the working of half wave rectifier. For a half wave rectifier, the first thing we need is a transformer. Okay, here the input AC signal is there, input AC. This is a secondary coil of the transformer. Okay, depending if you want to step up or step down, depending on the number of turns. Then this is your PN junction diode, and here we apply our load resistance across which we are going to have our output. So let us take a point A over here, let us take a point B over here. This is your PN junction diode. So this is a circuit of half wave rectifier. Here this is your load resistance, across load resistance we are going to have our output. Now let us try to understand the working. For one half cycle, for first half cycle, for first half cycle, let the current flow is like from A, the current is going and it goes in the circuit like this. So in this way, for this current, this PN junction is in forward bias. Why is it so? Because for PN junction, when it is connected like this, then we say it is in forward bias. So basically when the positive is connected to P, negative is connected to N, then PN junction is said to be forward bias. And in this case, what happens? The current flows in the circuit goes like this. Okay, so whenever the current is entering the PN junction from P side, the PN junction is in forward bias. So PN junction is in forward bias, and if PN junction is in forward bias, so if you make input and output graph also, so how the graph is going to be? The input alternating current will be like this. Okay, and the output current, when it is in forward bias, will have the output. So output is going to be like this. Okay, now for negative half cycle, this is for positive half cycle. For negative half cycle, current is in reverse. Okay, current goes like this. So for negative half cycle, current is going from B to A. So B is going to be at higher potential and A is going to be at lower potential. Now N is connected to higher potential, P is connected to lower potential. Now this is the reverse case when the PN junction is connected in reverse bias. PN junction is connected in reverse bias. It simply means it is connected like this. And the direction of current in this circuit will be like this. So the PN junction is in reverse bias, it blocks the current, and therefore no output we get across RL. And that's why here the graph says we don't have any output. Again for the positive half cycle, current goes like this. A is at higher, B is at lower potential, P is connected to higher potential, N is connected to lower potential. So PN junction diode is in forward bias, again it conducts. So we get output. Again for the reverse cycle, we don't get any output. So graph is like this. So this is the output wave and this is the input wave. Input waveform, output waveform. Is it clear? So this is the way in which half wave rectifier works. Okay. Why is it called half wave rectifier? Because only half of alternate current is converted into direct current. This here, the negative half cycle is 0 in the output. So basically only half wave is being converted and that's why it is called half wave rectifier. So this is the way in which half wave rectifier works. Now let us try to understand full wave rectifier. Now how that full wave rectifier works, let us draw the circuit first of all. So again we have a transformer. In the transformer, in the primary coil, we connect our input AC signal, and then in the secondary coil we have circuits. So for PN junction, let us have a junction over here. This is a diode D1 and here we have another diode, PN junction diode, which is D2. Now they are connected in this manner. Where we get output we get somewhere, output we get here. This is your RL and across RL we get our output. Okay, so this is the complete circuit of full wave rectifier, right? Now how that full wave rectifier works, let us try to understand. Let us name the points as A, let this point as B and let this point be C. For positive half cycle, what happens? For the positive half cycle, current goes in this manner in the circuit, okay, and it comes back to the circuit in this manner. So basically A is at higher potential and B is at lower potential. So this diode D1, P is connected to higher and N is connected to lower. So D1 is in forward bias and for D2, P is connected to lower potential, N is connected to higher potential, so D2 is in reverse bias. So for the first half cycle, A is at higher potential, whereas B is at lower potential. Is it clear? Now for this thing, D1 is in forward bias, whereas D2 is in reverse bias. So D1 conducts, across D1 current flows, but D2 blocks the current because it is in reverse bias. So direction of current will be like this way. So we get an output. Let us draw the waveform also so that we can understand. Input alternating current will be like this is your input current, okay, the output current will be like when D1 conducts, D2 does not, we get an output. For the reverse, for the second half cycle, for the second half cycle, what happens? Now B is at higher potential because direction of current just changes. Okay, so B is at higher potential and A is at lower potential. So now what happens? Current goes like this. Okay, when the current goes like this in the second half cycle, so B becomes at higher potential, whereas A at lower potential. Now this D2 is in forward bias, whereas D1 is in reverse bias with the same logic what we have used here. Okay, so in this case again the direction of current will be like from B it will go through RL and it comes to the inductor. D1 does not conduct because it is in reverse bias, so it will block the current, but D2 conducts. For the positive half cycle, D1 was conducting. For the negative half cycle, D2 is conducting. In both the cases, we get across RL, we get output across RL, and the direction of the current is along this one only. So the output will be in the same direction. So output will be like this. Again for the forward half cycle, same goes, and we get output like this. In this case, whole of the wave is being rectified, and that's why it is called full wave rectifier. That is why it is called full wave rectifier. But there is a problem with this circuit, and the problem is this direct current. This is a direct current, but direct current is fluctuating a lot. It is in the same direction. The direction is not being changed, but this current is being fluctuating. This current is fluctuating, and we need to stabilize the current. We need to stabilize the current. For that, we use filter circuits. For that purpose, we use filter circuits. What are the filter circuits? So filter circuits are of two types. One is series inductor filter and another one is shunt capacitor filter. Okay. So let us try to understand series inductor filter, how that series inductor filter works. Okay. For that, I think I need to remove this one. Yes, I need to remove this one. How this series inductor filter works? Let me remove graph also. You must have understood. Okay. Let me remove all these currents. Now we have to understand the circuit only. Okay. We don't need these currents. Okay. We get output across RL only. We get output across RL only. So in the series inductor filter, what we do? We combine an inductor. Okay, we combine an inductor and we don't take output over here. Okay, we don't take output over here. Where we take output? The output we take is somewhere here. Let me remove all this. The output is, and let me make RL over here. So RL. Okay. So with the RL, one inductor is connected in series. Why this inductor is being connected in series? What we get in the output in the full wave rectifier, the output is like this. So it is a direct current, but it is fluctuating. It is having frequency. And when we talk about in an inductor, the reactance of the inductor is omega L or 2 pi FL. So basically what happens, the direct current which is having frequency is being passed to this inductor. Inductor offers reactance, so it blocks the frequency components and allow a certain value of current through it. With the increasing frequency, the reactance increases. And when reactance increases, it blocks this frequency and it allows to pass only a fixed value of current, which is like this. So this is called series inductor filter, and it offers reactance because of the frequency component. Now the shunt capacitor filter. In the shunt capacitor filter, what we do? We connect a parallel plate capacitor just parallel to the RL. Now for capacitor, the reactance is given by 1 upon omega C or 1 upon 2 pi Fc. So for a frequency component, the reactance is very small. So this reactance offers a very small resistance, and therefore it offers a very short, short path. So you can say a short resistance path to the frequency component. So maximum the current which is having frequency, which is being fluctuated over here, they bypass from this way, and the current which is not having frequency, they pass through RL. So we get our output across RL, and it is not that fluctuating as it was earlier fluctuating. Okay, so these are the two filter circuits, and these filter circuits are being used to reduce the fluctuation in the DC output. Okay, so this is all about rectifiers. So this is all about your rectifier. Now we are going to study photonic p-n junction diode, there are three we have to study. One is photodiode, another is LED, that is light emitting diode, and the third one is solar cell. I'll try to finish all these by today itself, but let us see. If we have lack of time, then I'll do the rest of the part in the next video lecture. Okay, so let us start. What is photonic p-n junction diode? So what is photonic p-n junction diode? Photonic p-n junction diodes are those which are actually based on light. Either they absorb light photons, and the absorbing of light photons causes excitation of electrons from valence band to the conduction band. Earlier we were discussing that this is your valence band, this is your conduction band. For semiconductor, this gap, which is called energy gap, it is less than 3 electron volt. Okay. Now the electrons which are there in valence band, they do not conduct electricity because they are bounded in covalent bond. But when we get some energy, they go from valence band to the conduction band, leaving one hole behind. So basically, when electron goes from valence band to the conduction band, now this electron is ready to conduct electricity. So if it happens like this, energy is being given by light. Okay, photo refers to light. So if this energy is being given from light, so what is it? In this case, this type of junction diodes are called photonic junction diode. So basically, if the energy is being given by light, or it can happen like this, that one electron from conduction band to go in the valence band neutralizes one hole. So in this case, one photon is being emitted, light is being emitted. Okay, when the electron have to go from valence band to the conduction band, it had to absorb energy. This energy can be given in form of light also. When an electron jumps from conduction band to the valence band, then it releases energy. This energy can be understood in terms of photons, light photons. So this kind of p-n junction diodes, which effects are based on the photoelectric effect, on the photonic effect. Photonic effect means on the light, either absorption of photons or releasing of photons. So these kind of p-n junction diodes are called photonic p-n junction diodes. We have to study three in class 12th. One is photodiode. Second one is LED, that is your light emitting diode, and the third one is solar cell. We have to study these three. Okay, photodiode, LED, and photocell. So let us start. Let us do them one by one. Okay, I think that 5 minutes each will take. So in 15 minutes it will be over. Okay, so let us start with photodiode. Now photodiode. Let us try to understand what is photodiode. Just see, this photodiode, as I have told you, that these are based on effect of light. Okay, so photodiodes are fabricated from photosensitive materials, the materials which responds to light energy. When light falls, electrons gets excited from valence band to the conduction band, and therefore in this kind of p-n junction diode, there is a window through which the light can enter and falls nearby the junction. When light falls on the nearby the junction, then what happens? The electrons gets energy from that, and the electron transfers itself from valence band to the conduction band. And when an electron transfers itself from valence band to the conduction band, it will leave a hole behind. So basically what happens? On falling the light, the number of charge carrier increases. Earlier there was no electron hole pair, but now when light falls on the junction, electron gets detached from the hole. Now electrons are ready to conduct electricity, holes are also ready to conduct electricity. Symbolic representation of photodiode is this is a p-n junction diode, and since light is falling, so the light is made in this way. So this is your photodiode. Okay, photodiode are preferably used in reverse bias. This is your P junction, this is your N. Okay, this is your depletion layer, and on the depletion layer the light energy is falling and it is used in reverse bias. Why it is done so, I'll explain you, don't worry. Okay, this is your PN junction circuit for photodiode. Now, why it is being used in the reverse bias, why it is not being used in the forward bias? Forward bias and reverse bias will not affect the photoelectric effect which is happening over here. I cannot say photoelectric effect because electrons are not coming out of metal surface, but somehow the electrons are leaving the valence band and goes to the conduction band. Okay, so photoelectric effect is not there, but electrons are receiving energy, it will leave its bond and go to the conduction band. Okay, so why it is being used in the reverse bias? P is connected to the negative, N is connected to the positive. Why it is being used? In forward bias, already the current is very higher. The current is in order of milliampere. When light falls, it will increase number of charge carriers. Then the current increases, but current increases in a very small amount. Suppose increase in terms of microampere. Okay, or very small. So it is being very difficult to understand the variation in the current. 1 milliampere current is equal to what? 1000 microampere. And suppose 10 microampere current changes. So earlier it was 1 milliampere, which means 1000 microampere. And now after falling the light, it becomes 1010 microampere. So it will not make any greater change to observe. It is very difficult to observe the change in current. But while when it is connected in reverse bias, current is already in terms of microampere, 5 microampere, 10 microampere, whatsoever. And now if 10 microampere current increases, we can understand the variation. So in the reverse bias, it is very easy to understand the variation in current due to the light effect, and that's why preferably the photodiode is being used in reverse bias. Okay, one graph I would like to draw so that you can understand with the intensity what is the effect. Since it is in reverse bias, so the graph is going to be like this. This is your intensity I1, this is your intensity I2, this is your intensity I3. Obviously I3 is greater than I2 is greater than I1. Here you have current which is in microampere. Here we have voltage. Okay, as you can see, greater intensity causes greater change in current. Okay, when there was no intensity, when there is no intensity, means no light was falling, then also one current was existing. Okay, here that intensity, for this intensity is 0, but current was existing there. It was a very small amount of current, but current was existing. That current is called a dark current. That current is called dark current. So this is how this photonic PN junction diode is there. This photodiode is there. What are the uses of this photodiode? So photodiodes are being used in detection of optical signals. Okay, optical signals. What are the, suppose for different intensities, the current is being different. So for different intensity of light, the current is being different. So to detect optical signals, photodiodes are being used. In light operated switches, it is being used in speed reading or electronic counters. In electronic counters also photodiode is being used. Okay, like suppose one gate, on the gate one electronic counter is fixed. Every time when a person blocks the current, the counter count by 1. Okay, so this is the explanation of photodiode. Let us try to understand LED. Now what is LED? LED is light emitting diode, and this time it is very much in fashion. Okay, almost all the lights in our home is replaced by LED. Earlier it was tungsten bulb filament, then it was replaced by tube lights. Okay, then it was replaced by LCDs. Okay, earlier it was this fluorescent CFLs, not LCDs, sorry, CFLs, and now CFLs are being replaced by LED. LED is a very dependable device. It generates light and it operates on very low voltage, low power. It consumes very less power and it gives that much amount of energy. Okay, so in LEDs, how this works: photodiode, when light falls, electron hole pairs are generated. Now in LED is just reverse. Okay, when electron get combines with hole, suppose one electron is there in the conduction band. Okay, one electron is there in conduction band and this is your valence band. So here holes are there and here electrons are there. When an electron jumps back to the valence band, it releases energy. And if this energy falls in a visible range, because energy can be given in terms of h nu, so if this h nu falls in a visible range, then we can see light coming out of diode. So this is the basic principle of light emitting diode. They are fabricated with such materials that this energy gap, Eg falls in a visible range. Eg falls in a visible range, so that when an electron gets transferred from conduction band to the valence band, energy gets released, and that energy, since falls in a visible range, we can see the light coming out. But the electron which is falling, its energy is slightly less than energy gap. It is not exactly actually equal to the energy gap. It's slightly less than, it could be slightly, it is slightly less than the energy gap. Okay, so we take care of this thing, that this Eg, these are fabricated with such materials that Eg falls in a visible range. How does symbolically LEDs are represent? So this is your PN junction, simple, and now they emit light. So this is the symbolic representation of LEDs. Okay, how the circuit looks like? So in the circuit, what we do? The N-type semiconductor, and this is your P-type semiconductor. At the junction, we make it very thin. Okay, here we apply some conducting material. Okay, here also, and now it is connected, it is operated, it is N, it is P, so it is operated in forward bias. So for biasing, what we do? Here we connect negative, positive, one resistance, it is connected like this. Okay, now what happens when we start the biasing? Nearby the junction, electron gets combined by the hole and energy is being released. Okay, here the electron holes recombination takes place, and every time one electron combined with hole, it releases energy, and if that energy falls in our visible range, we can see the light. This is the basic principle of LED. Now fabrication of material is very important. Okay, for particular wavelength of light, we use particular diodes. Okay, like for example, if we see gallium arsenide 0.6, it is the ratio, and phosphorus 0.4. Its energy gap is approximately 1.9 electron volt, and it is being used for red color of light. I don't remember the facts, that's why I was writing from the book only. Okay, gallium arsenide 0.6, phosphorus 0.4, its energy gap is 1.9 electron volt, and it is being used for red color light. Okay, in the similar manner, for different colors, we use different ratio to adjust this energy gap. So this is the basic principle of light emitting diode. It is being used in forward bias. They are durable, they are more they operate on very less cost. These are some advantages of LEDs over regular bulbs. Okay, the last topic of the chapter. I hope we are not rushing. You are able to understand. All the notes have been given. Just note down all the things. Okay, the last topic of the chapter is solar cell. Okay, the last topic of the chapter is solar cell. Now all we know that what is solar cell? Solar cell is a device which converts solar energy into electrical energy. Okay, solar energy into electrical energy. How that solar cell works? So what we do, so how this solar cell works, let us try to understand. Solar cell works depends, you can say this process of converting solar energy into electrical energy involves three steps. First one is generation. Second one is separation. And the third one is collection. These three steps are there. One is generation, one is second one is separation, third one is collection. How this works, let us try to understand. But first of all, how it is being constructed. So what we do, we take a N type semiconductor, another P type semiconductor. N type semiconductor is quite thin. Okay, P type semiconductor is quite thick. So when this N type, P type semiconductors are formed, here form a depletion region. Okay, now what we do? We allow light to fall on N side. Now this N side we make deliberately, we make it very thin. So what happens? This light energy reaches nearby the junction. Here the electron hole pairs are generated. This process is called generation. Generation of what? Electron hole pairs. Because of what? Solar energy. When solar energy falls nearby the junction, electron hole pairs are generated. So this steps complete. Now the second step is separation. Now electrons. Since here we have negative ions, immobile ions, and this side we have positive ions. Okay. So now what happens? Electrons are being collected because of this negative voltage. Electrons are being collected this side, N side, and holes are being connected towards P side. Okay. Now this electrons are being connected, so they are collected here by metallized some metal balls. You can say a metal plate we adjust over here. Here we connect a metallic plate so that we can take the holes out. And now this circuit is connected to a resistance. This circuit is being connected to a resistance. This is called your load resistance, RL. So collection, separation is what? Separation is being done by this barrier potential. Now collection, electrons are being collected towards N side, holes are being connected towards P side, and now when they are connected through a circuit, so positive ions start moving, or you can say the electrons are moving like this. So the current is moving like this. So in the output circuit, we get current from P side to N side. Okay, P side to N side. This is only one PN junction diode whose characteristic curve is being drawn in the fourth quadrant. Okay, this is your voltage when no current was falling. So it is called VOC, voltage at open circuit, and this is the current when this is being shorted with this, means no resistances are being applied. So this is short circuit current. The graph is like this, voltage and the current. So basically this is only one PN junction diode whose graph is being drawn in the fourth orbit. Now for solar cell, the selection of the material N type and P type, it is very important. Selection we do on the basis that what is their band gap energy. Band gap energy, which is basically our EG. What is their band gap energy? EG. EG should be what? 1 electron volt to 1.8 electron volt. Okay, this should be the energy, because if it is greater than this one, then solar energy cannot generate electron hole pairs. Okay, electron hole pairs, solar energy cannot generate. Solar energy cannot give that electron so much energy that it can goes from valence band to the conduction band. Is it clear? So the band gap energy should be like this. And the second thing is, this should have greater conductivity. Conductivity should be greater. Conductivity should be greater. Okay. The third point is, they should have greater absorption power. Greater absorption. They should absorb the solar energy. And the fourth thing is cost factor. They should not be very costly. Okay, so this is the points we take care while selecting materials for solar cells, as we have done in the class 10th also, that solar energy is very useful. It is a energy which is being given from the sun, and it is being given from a very long period of time, and it will be available for a very long period of time. So this solar cell should be increased, use of solar cell should be increased more. Okay, it is pollution free, it does not cause any pollution, and it is not very costly also when we build this solar cell. Okay, so I think this is all about this chapter number 14. There are very less topics, so much topics have been deleted this year, and this chapter consists of 7 marks also. Okay, so this chapter becomes very important. I hope you go through all the topics. Okay, it is done in 4 parts only, so you can understand this chapter is not that very lengthy. Only circuits are there and working of circuits are there. So you go through them and you can easily prepare this chapter. Moreover, please take care of yourself also. Okay, please follow the guidelines, whatever is being given from the government. Use mask, keep social distancing. Okay, and keeping social distancing does not mean you do not come to school, but follow the guidelines. Okay, do not go and talk to any students, just keep the distance between 2 students. These are the things you have to take care. Just stay safe. This is all for the day. Thank you.